I am now with the wonderful Fïx8, Sëd8, if that's how I say it right.
Perfectly, yep.
And I'm with Martin and Vincent. So thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So you both were meant to play Zero Day Festival last year, but there was some sickness or something. So what happened there?
Well, Vincent got sick, happens.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't COVID, but he got a flu, I think.
Yeah, it was a very bad one actually, and wasn't able to travel in any way. And we were coming here by car actually, also this time, because we have a lot of luggage basically. And yeah, that just wasn't possible at that point.
Okay, fair enough.
Emmerich was so nice to give us a second shot, so to say. And when the slot was open or this opportunity came up, he asked us to if we want to join, and of course we said yes.
Yeah, okay, and it's your first time playing in the UK, isn't it? So
UK, London, ever, yeah, and with Hocico first time too. So yeah, it was always a dream of mine to play, particularly here at Elektrowerkz, and fantastic, it worked out.
yeah, so the Slimelight's name, obviously name quite famous across the world. So what's it like being here? Have you ever been here before? Is this your first visit?
My second visit here. But I have very faint memories, I must say, because that was after the Cure gig, 40 years anniversary in the Hyde Park, 2018, I think, and
yes.
You guys had this after show party here, and I was intoxicated, as you guys would say, probably, and I barely remember. But Vincent has, I think, vivid memories about this place.
Totally. It was the very first club I ever went to, and it's and I've been here one more time since, I think, and yeah, it's just great to play here tonight.
It's a famous location, of course.
Yeah, wonderful. And having been making music as long as you have, what's been your happiest moments in your music career?
Oh wow. I think I don't want to sound pretentious or anything. Like every time I finish a new song, actually, and I'm happy with it, and I actually make music for myself, which means that I listen to it a lot. And when it turns out the way I wanted it to be, and I'm just happy with it, that actually, it doesn't have to be like one particular moment, or of course there were many, but this is something that happens every time I finish a new song, and that's the reason why I make music, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, and basically same here. Actually, when I finished my album right now, Utopian, with my own project, Second Phase, that was probably the moment in my career so far.
Okay, fantastic. And have you played many shows with your side project?
Not as many as Fïx8, Sëd8, but some, yeah. And I mean, I only have one album out now, and it's the second album coming now. So I don't know. It's nice to see how it goes. And,
Right, perfect. And for those watching who haven't heard of your music, how would you describe Fïx8, Sëd8 and Second Phase?
Well, I guess the roots are probably like in maybe Canadian or Texas dark electro from the late 80s to mid 90s, maybe. People say Skinny Puppy, but I disagree. The vocals maybe remind of Skinny Puppy, like a Discount Ogre. Music is, I would say, closer to Mental and the Fixer than to Skinny Puppy. It's a melodic dark electro with, lots of complexity in it, I hope. I get bored by repetition, so I like my songs to be action-packed, so to say.
Yeah, great. How about Fïx8, Sëd8? How would you describe your side project?
Well, it's his own project. He's doing his own thing. The thing is, we're actually, well, first of all, we're good friends, but we live near each other, nearby. And so he's a great musician, so he helps me out on stage with my project, and I'm going to help him out as a keyboarder when he goes into his second phase. So we're just, doing this thing. Second phase.
It's basically also a little. It has a Canadian approach, so to say, but it's more heavy in a way. So it's not really dark electro, but I'd like to call it progressive industrial, because it has a very heavy edge, and it is. But I try to create a modern sound and not going with the retro style all too much. And I think it reminds of numb a little bit, maybe, from Vancouver. Yeah.
In the scene that we're in, what would you say are the best things about the scene, and what things would you like to see improved, maybe?
Oh man, that's a good and complex question. I mean, if there still is such a thing, it actually answers both of your questions. If you find it, then the good thing about the scene is the creative aspect. If I'm happy when I hear art. I don't like it when music becomes a product, just to sell or to appeal to a crowd. I like the artistic aspect of music. I don't even have to like it. If it's not my personal taste, doesn't matter. I appreciate the artistic value to it, and at the same time, the lack of this is what I dislike, and I wish there was more creativity, more progression, more new stuff, and more experimenting, more bravery in creating art. To me, it seems like everything has been there before, and it's just a rehash of something that either has been before or a direct one-to-one copy from something that is popular right now. You hear so many bands that sound identical, and this bores me. And I wish there was more creativity.
So just a few more faces, really.
Few more
new faces.
Well, not just new faces, new ideas.
Yeah.
Can be an old face with a new idea. And maybe I didn't like the old face, his project, but now he has a new idea, which is, I can feel the spark, the creativity. Then I like the old face.
Yeah, just if I might add, just going out of the comfort zone of the artistic range, basically, and just trying an experiment.
Yeah. There's in electronic music. The world is your oyster. Literally, you can do anything. Yeah. Okay, you are confined, say, by the genre you're in. Yeah. If you're doing dark electro, you can't use, I don't know, bongos or something. Yeah. Or you can, but okay. And it has been done. But those are your only limitations. Sound-wise, you can do so much. You can be so creative, and yet, in other genres, bands stick to very repetitive formulas, and they all do if not the same, then very similar stuff. Mostly because it's popular and it guarantees success. And I know, the moment art becomes commercial, it often turns into a product. And then the artistic value shrinks or disappears entirely.
Well, do you think there are any smaller, less heard of bands out there that are doing these wonderful things that people should listen to?
Yes, absolutely. And we're happy to be friends with them, and fortunate to be friends with them. We're playing with one of them, Amorphous, from Brighton, originally from Brazil. Super creative dark electro with, I would say, almost like a technoid impact. Fantastic. It actually is repetitive, but so smart. There's so many small changes that keeps you going. This is if repetition, this is the way I love it. And then from Germany, we're friends with great bands such as Paraline or Amnestia, and from Context 69, Akalots from the EBM genre or sector. They played here 2 or 3 times already, I think. The thing is, I can speak for Vincent because he's actually a professional musician. But I'm just doing this for fun, and all those bands I mentioned are the same. So we have the freedom to do whatever we want. We don't have to appeal to a bigger audience or crowd or follow rules. So these are all artists as I described them earlier. They have the creativity and the freedom, which is important. I understand bands who have to follow those conventions because they make a living of it. We don't, so we can just do art for its own sake.
Okay, so sounds like you've both had a very long and really in-depth history with music.
Yeah, exactly.
So what point in your life when you were younger did you decide that making music was what you wanted to do?
I'm originally coming from, I would say, the grunge scene actually in the early and mid '90s. So And I have a musical education. I went to music school and how to play the piano. So, but I never wanted to become a pianist. But for some reason, when I started playing electric guitar, I don't know. I just had the idea to write songs. That was the first time. But they were like basically rock songs. Yeah. And then through a few, around a few corners, I came to listen to industrial or electronic music, and I don't know, maybe like in the early 20s or something, when I was in my early 20s, a friend gave me a demo version of a DAW called Reason, Propeller. It's Reason. It's a digital audio station, and I just started experimenting, and it was fun, and it was the beginning of it. But I never took it like serious in a way that I wanted to be successful or anything. It was just fun, and then once you get better, the longer you do it, both using the instruments and the technology that is at your disposal, but also better as a songwriter, as a composer. You can expand, you get more creative, and so that's the fun part, improving your own music actually with every release, getting better. That's cool.
Okay. Has there ever been a moment where you've nearly decided, I just don't want to do it anymore? And how did you get over it?
Almost daily at some point.
Okay, so I mentioned that I appreciate art for its art's sake and not being bound to certain rules. That's only half the truth. If you want to have people listen to your music and hear your music, you kind of have to play the game sometimes. You can't just do whatever you want. So you get in touch with the business, with the promoters, basically with promoters. That's with labels, of course, record labels, and as soon as money is involved, ego is involved, it can be frustrating, and sometimes you have to just play along in order, for example, to get a gig, to get in touch with someone, to get what you want in order to do what you want, which is making music or performing it. So there is no way around it. Sometimes you just deal with people that they look. If you learn how the business works and you look behind the curtain, it's sometimes it's ugly what you see, and that can be what's the word, disheartening or disencouraging sometimes even, and depressing for sure. And I wouldn't go as far as say that I was close to calling it quits for good, but maybe like never playing shows again, something like that. Because nobody can stop me from making music. But I don't rely on anybody to make music. I do this at home by myself, and I don't need any help with that. But I do need help to perform, for example, and I need to keep in touch with people maybe whom I otherwise wouldn't be in touch with.
Okay.
So it's more like the social...
So work-life balance.
Yes.
Okay. So what's going on with Fïx8 Sëd8 at the moment? Are you working on any new stuff?
Oh, I am.
Yeah?
Oh, gosh.
So tell us about
How
that.
much time do you have? I love talking about myself and my music. Well, my last album came out more than 2 years already, 2 years ago already. And since then I've been working on album 6, which will be called Octagram, and it has a quite interesting, as I think, concept. It will feature 8 songs, and each song will be 8 minutes long. So it's all about the number 8, which will represent infinity. So it will be about infinity, but also like life after death, stuff like that, And those songs are, since they're so long, and like I mentioned, I don't like repetition, they will have so much music. Each song will be packed with a lot of music, with ideas for a full EP sometimes. So this is a challenge to make, not just to have all those ideas just to create one song, but also make them work, because you have like 5, 6, sometimes 7 different parts, and having those ideas alone isn't enough. You have to make them work, make it homogenic, make them work together. And so yeah, that's been very challenging. As of now, I'm all but finished actually. I need one more song, and then it's vocal recordings, which also will be very difficult, but I am hoping to have the album out early next year actually, so that would be fantastic. That's my goal. That's all I spend my free time on right now.
It does sound like a very complex concept, but
I call it
fantastic one.
I call it pretentious how am I calling it? Selbstverwirklichung. My pretentious, like self-fulfilling project. Yeah, I have to do this for myself, like
ego thing.
Yeah. Exactly, an ego thing. It's I don't think it has been done to this extent yet, and it's an experiment. And I'm fairly sure that many of those who liked my music so far won't like this, because it's just too much. You have to work for liking it. You know, you can't just listen to it once. You have to listen to it several times until you get familiar with it, until you maybe see how everything works together. And that's a lot to ask from somebody, from anybody, because music is supposed to be fun and not work, you know. And but then my pitch is, if you work for it, you'll get rewarded for it, hopefully. Yeah, that's how I try to pitch it once it comes out. And if nobody will agree with me, then all right. I still have done it, which is still okay, I think.
I mean, I can appreciate the value in what you're trying to say there. I mean, for instance, when most people first saw the band Hilo on YouTube, they're like, "What's that?" But you listen to it again and again and again, and then that's it. So I can understand.
Some music is like that, or live performance or whatever. Often it is the difference between something, say, simple and, I don't want to use the word cheap, but accessible. And I mean, the more complex and the more ambitious music or performances, the more time it takes to fully appreciate it for everybody, I think. And I mean, I might be asking a lot from I don't like the word fans, but the people who liked our music. But I just had to do it for myself, really. It's a pretentious vanity project. That's what I always say. A pretentious vanity project. Thank you very much. Well, it still is a vanity project. If it works, then it's a successful pretentious vanity project.
Yeah. Okay. Now, slightly change the subject. It's been a very strange few years that we've all lived through. Do you have?
Has it?
Yeah. Do you have any strange, silly, or weird predictions for things that will happen by the end of the year?
Oh, silly, huh?
Or serious?
Well, I mean, it's crazy times, man, crazy times. Who would have thought? I mean, first an apocalypse, then war around the corner. I mean, who would have thought? Puts things into perspective for sure. I don't know. I don't want any to make any silly predictions. I would like to things go back to how they were, you know? Like, because the scene has changed for the worse for sure. It's and there's just too much. People don't know where to go. They can split in half. So the scene is in disbalance, at least in Germany. And of course, I mean, all those political aspects have divided the people, which also, you know, not people, families for people, right? Yes. So I basically, I just want all of this to be undone, and go back to how things were. So yeah, I mean, sorry to give such a somber answer, but this is all I can think of right now.
You think of anything, Vincent?
Well, actually, I just want to say the same thing, basically. And I don't really want to make any predictions or anything like that, just because I don't know. As you said, it really the last few years put everything in perspective, and they were so unexpected that I don't want to
I mean, some of the bands I asked out recently, some of them said, if I make a prediction, I don't want people coming to me and saying I said it was going to happen. And we had
really people think that bands are Nostradamus or what, or fortune tellers.
We had Tom from Assemblage 23 say, oh, well, you know, you could have Ronald McDonald as president tomorrow and no one would care, so there's no point in making predictions.
That's the thing. I mean, it's impossible to predict in a world where everything seems possible. All of a sudden, things you never thought would happen on European mainland. You know, it's an unknown situation. I mean, it's difficult to predict if you don't know all the variables. Because they have never been there before, I mean, you can say for sure that, I mean, if you want to talk about music in this regard or in relation to this, what might happen if things don't change, what will happen probably and unfortunately is the big bands will keep getting bigger, and the small bands will stay small. They will never keep up because people will have to choose. Everything's expensive. That's one thing too. You know, it's an important thing. So people have to choose where to go, and unfortunately, massive majority of the scene chooses to see the popular bands. Well, they're popular for a reason. There's really no envy or anything in that. I'm just it's an observation, a very obvious observation. Yeah, and people go where you know, to the big bands, to the big festivals, and I mean it's has always been like this, that smaller venues, smaller events, smaller bands always suffer a little bit. Yeah. Especially in the scene, it's a small scene. Yeah. You have just a limited amount of people which you share or compete for. Yeah. And if an already disbalanced audience shifts even more, then this could be bad news for smaller bands and events and venues.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, but that's just a theory. I don't know, but it could be true.
Yeah, a lot to think about there. But lastly, I know you just said a second ago you don't like to call them fans, but what would you like to say to the people who enjoy your music?
Supporters. That's lovely. People who enjoy my music. So to both of you. Hi, Mom. My mom likes my stuff. It's crazy, but she always says I should stop singing. And I get her. I can't sing. Well, guys, thanks for watching this. I guess we're up next or after Amorphous. We're looking forward to that, and I see you guys whenever. And wish you all the best. Stay healthy and stay strong.
And this wouldn't be possible without you.
That is very true. Sucking up to the fans, good.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for really, guys, for 20 years you've been supportive. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Very well. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.